So this is a little different for me, but I got this Tesla. It's like a 2015 or so Model S. You notice these door handles are popped out, but not this one. So this customer's complaint is the door handle doesn't protrude when the car wakes up, so they can't get in. They have to go around the passenger side and jump over. If you listen. It continues to periodically try to run that motor to pop that door out. So he did actually the research on this and found this is like a door panel kit, and then there's a part that's been redesigned. So I guess this is, it's unclear. I believe this is in the door handle itself. I don't think it's anything with the latch. So just pop the door panel off here. Gonna get jamming on it. I'll update. It takes. There's good thorough videos, and so if you really need a whole hand-holding walkthrough, watch those. But if you do this stuff for a living or you've done quite a bit of this, I'll summarize it in the short steps for you. Get the door panel off. Right, there's a actually this one was kind of weird. It was a 9mm, which I'd never seen before. I thought it was gonna be a 10 right here. To get to that, it's in this door pocket right there. You gotta pull a little mat out, get down in there. There's a couple of Torx, they're T30s. Pull those out, and then it's the same old door panel stuff. You know, support it really well. Maybe use the non-marking prying tools, pop it loose, get that out. Undo all your connectors that go to the door panel, like the window switch and the lights. And then there's this door module. Undo that. That I jumped down to smaller. I think it was like T20 maybe. Yeah, T20. Fold that out of the way. Pull the T20s for this plate. Then, and this is where I've been struggling a little bit. You have to get the glass out. There's no way to do this handle without having the glass out. You don't have to pull the full window regulator, but you gotta get the glass out. Get the glass out. You gotta get it set to a level where the glass appears in here like that. And there's a little tab to push back. You'll push it back at the same time as kind of pulling the glass up, and that'll pop the front loose. And then this one right here, I think I ended up having to actually run it up a little higher. I think I ran it up higher. At full height, I pulled the nut off of the window regulator. That's down here now, which was a little strange, but I've seen them like that before. So undo the glass like that. I would pull this inner molding, this little weather strip right here. It's not really a belt molding, but pull that guy off there. Then if you get the window just right, you can kind of tip it up like this, scoot it over like this, pull it out. The window glass is over there. Now that the window glass is out, there's just a bunch of 10mm nuts on studs in here. Right, that's the problem one. I couldn't get that one because the glass was there. There was no way to move the glass out of the way. So just got the last one out. The harness wraps around down to here, right? That red, blue, and green kind of wrapped around the outside of the window and went over to here. So once I got that undone, I realized I needed to pull the window regulator sash out of the way. So window regulator sash was one of these. I think it's this one. And then on the bottom, you got to pull a little plug out the bottom, and there's a 10 nut going up like this. And then you can pry this out of the way a little bit. So now that's out of the way. I could probably even get it a little more out of the way, but I'm trying to be as least invasive as possible. And I should be pretty ready to pull this door handle out right now. As you can see, it's still a little tight. This may not be, I'm going to put the camera down because I'm not going to goof this up. Check back in. It's not that big of a thing, just got to finagle it a bit. So here's my unit. Now, I have not looked into this yet, so I'm going to play around with this. Going to get a nice clean workspace set up. I'm just looking, it looks like I need at least some Phillips. And this kit, let me get going. All right, so this part gets a little more technical. Pull this cover, pulled the screws, fought with this Dum-Dum butyl seal or whatever, but it wasn't that difficult. Pulled that out, and then I looked in the kit he got. he's got a couple micro switches. And I did find a video that was really good from Electrified Garage. Looks like he does tons of these. So that's really the guy to watch. But I'll still share with you a little bit. I pulled this switch off. I pulled this switch off, which was down here. But what was kind of a pain to get to those, this screw, I couldn't really get the right angle. So what I had to do is go with this big Torx right here. And I grabbed T40. And what I did, this bolt controls how far the door handle recesses into the door. So if I loosen that, I'm screwing up that adjustment. So what I did is I just marked it and I turned it exactly 5 times. Boom. So when I'm done, I can turn it back clockwise 5 times, and I will have retained my adjustment. And then once that was adjusted out 5 times, I could push the handle up like this, and I could just barely get to those screws. So I did undo those, and then I kind of, pulled the wires from there. And then the next thing is I pulled the 4 screws for the motor, and I forgot what those were. I got it right here. 20 maybe? Yeah, T20s. So I'm ready to pull the motor right now. Just set it to the side. I'm ready to pull this harness, and I'm just going to lay it up here in the way I took it off because I like to keep everything organized. And I'll actually explain why. So the switch on this side has a screw in it that you can see is a screw. It's because it goes in the plastic. And then the screw that I took off the other side is more of a machine screw. So just my general rule of thumb is I try to lay stuff out exactly how it came off. And that would have been pretty apparent for me to figure out anyway. Just the way the micro switch goes in, it goes to the metal right here. That's actually steel, so or some sort of aluminum or something. And then the problem is pretty apparent now. That's not supposed to look like that. So this is the failure, which makes sense. Right, I'm just gonna set it kind of the way I took it out, which is good because that's pretty much what he got in this kit. So I know that this one is gonna go like this, but the problem is, as you can see, this hole right here is no longer a hole here. So I was able to pull this out, but there's broken pieces down in here. To get the new one on, there's this whole rod. So clearly I'm gonna have to move that rod. I feel like if I move it this way, I can get it far enough out, just far enough out to get that new, what is being called the paddle gear in. And so I was looking into that, and I got a little bit more work to do before I can help you, but this is where I'm at. Well, I noticed something interesting. You'll see this switch right here. This switch was bolted down here like this, and I noticed its little tab was kind of crooked, so I touched it and it was just like hanging there. So it's a problem because this switch didn't come in the kit, and it doesn't have a connector. It goes right into this little module. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the kit in, and I'm going to grab this micro switch right here, which looks like it's the same. This is the old one. I can measure continuity on this one, make sure it appears to be working. And then what I'll do is I'll cut these wires, and I will solder it in here. It looks to be the same part. So I'm not sure if this was contributing to why that thing broke. I was understanding that if these micro switches don't close, it won't stop the motor from running, and it'll actually just run the motor too far and snap the gear. So I feel like this is a good chance this was the root cause of the failure. So gonna do a little extra surgery than I bargained for, but I'm gonna make it happen. But before I do the wire repair, I should really replace that gear. So you see there's just a rusty pile of crap down there. That's an E-clip, like this. So I'm gonna try to get that one out. Looks like it may break, no problem. The kit was good in that way. It came with that part. The gloves are off now, so you can't tell. Mostly wear them to keep the window grease off me. Maybe a little bit of a pain in the butt. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna have to rotate it. Okie dokie. Nah, it's just getting worse. I'm probably gonna have to break that just to get it out. It's kind of facing the wrong way. Here, oh, here we go, baby. Yeah, totally hammered it. I'm not sure I would proceed with this job unless you have a new one of those. To be honest with you. Pretty likely it's gonna be broken based on what I'm seeing here. A lot of those, they say they're one-time use anyway, so don't feel bad. Just get one before you do the job. If your kit didn't come with one. So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push on that pin. So like right here, with my thumb on that metal pin, I'm gonna try to push from the back side. Ooh, not with my thumb. I'm not. With a little pliers, I was able to get it to move pretty easy. So we'll move this over. A little bit of my concern is, as you can see, if I go too far, that spring will no longer be captured. So let me try to be careful here. Push a little bit at a time. Okay, that's pretty close. Maybe you can see I'm just trying to get enough room in here to get the new gear to lay in. So I didn't go quite enough, I think. This is definitely a little tough to capture. Especially because I don't want to mess it up. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that sucker should be pretty close to free. This one should definitely be. Okay. So that's some little bushing in there. So I'm actually gonna take that and I'm gonna see if it fits the new paddle gear. If it does, I'll use it. If it doesn't, it's possible that could be eliminated. Yeah, I think I can pry it in there a little better. Maybe just barely. Okay. So this is what I'm up to right here. Just trying to sneak that sucker in. Okay, so gentle little hands would be good for this job. I tend to be not like that. You know, I don't know if this one's gonna fit though. It's very possible this has been eliminated. And I don't have the complete paddle gear to see if it's got a different size hole. If this hole is too small, because it's meant to sit directly on there, it won't fit. And so far it doesn't look like it will. It was really close, but I'm gonna go with probably a no. One more little shot. No, there's just no way to get it in. Too small, man. Yep, that's a no. Okay, so no problem. I'm gonna save it in case I change my mind. It looks like that's a no-go. So now I'm back to a little bit of a struggle here. Just kind of thinking I might be able to work that pin over just a little more carefully like this. Push that sleeve out. A little bushing. Lay that guy in there. Okay. If I've done it right, I should be able to slide that pin back over. Seems like I'm probably running into a bit of an alignment issue, so I'm gonna move the handle a little. Try to keep walking it in. Yep, that was better. Okay. Alright, so it looks like I gotta go a little further based on the old marks. But that's the process here. Now that'll move good. Alright, I can look on the end. You can see that pin is just starting in the hole. Here's that little bushing. See that sucker? Let me just grab that out of there. Okay. So if I have to, I'll go back on the back side and shove this over. But let's see. And I'm being pretty mindful of that chrome finish, which is why I got this pink towel down here, which I guess you can't actually tell. But I was definitely a little concerned about that too. Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stand it up, and then I'm gonna try to get you adjusted. So you can see, there's that pin. I just went back right to the old mark. Okay, so I'm gonna take a quick look here. Looks like the pin's sitting nice right where I want it. Door handle's moving good. So flip it back to my work position. It makes sense because you can see that groove is, well, actually I might have to back up just a hair. That groove is pretty much where I need it to be, minus like half a millimeter. Then I'll go with getting this E-clip back on. You're in my way. Who's in my way? It's kind of delicate, so move out of the way. Okay. Feel like that one went in good. Yeah, it's in the groove. Let's verify it's in the groove all the way here. Looks good. Alright, so now for those micro switches, that really looked like it was no big deal type of thing. The worst part is probably going to be that one. So I think I'll deal with that first. So I was saying I'm going to cut these, solder them in. Just thinking about it, I'm not going to show you the wire repair. Hopefully you don't have to. But I'm gonna do my repair over here where it's kind of away from moving parts. And so I'm just gonna go for the cut real quick, and I'm gonna solder this in, and I'll check back with you. All right, so it should be pretty wrapped up here. Got this one mounted. Looks like those have to do with how far the motor pushes it out. So actually, those make more sense. If they fail, that would probably break the paddle gear. This one appears to really be indicating of when it returns and should, I guess, just be an input to the computer. So I don't know. I kind of think that maybe just when the paddle broke, it must have come up and hit that switch, little piece of metal. So watch for that. I wasn't totally thrilled about making this connection here, and in fact, if you're really paying attention, this switch is slightly different. The wire should actually be coming out the other side, so this is going to sit a little bit high. So I'm not like totally in love with this fix, but it's the only option I had. Otherwise, I'm telling this customer, hey, you can't have your car till parts come in. And I gave him a super good deal to do this, just to hook him up. He's a young kid. So I'm just going to roll with this. If it doesn't work, I will add to the video. If it does work, just remember, I backed this out 5 times. So I'm going to turn it back in 5 times. I'm going to zip tie these wires up nice. Make sure that they're away from any moving parts. And get this weather seal the best I can again. And then I'm gonna reinstall it, and assuming it's good, this will be the end of the video. I'll come clean and let you know. Alright, so here's something I underestimated. I had this window regulator sash back in, and I noticed I popped that door handle in pretty quick. You notice how it's laying low on the bottom, leaving a big gap on the top? I'm not gonna live with that. So I pulled the regulator back loose. I'm gonna use my little non-marking trim tool. It kind of takes 2 hands, so I may have to ditch the phone in a second. I'm gonna kind of pry up a little, make sure I get it where I want it, and then I'm gonna nail a corner down. Check it out. So you see what I'm saying? I want it in the center of that gap, so just don't overlook that when you go to put it back on. I laid the door handle in, I'm taking it back apart. All right, verification. Wake up, car. Well, I guess I could push on it to open it up. Looking good. You know what I realized too? This handle has no mechanical connection to the door latch. Let me turn off this horrible music here. How do you do that? Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. So I realize now that switch that I was repairing, some of those micro switches, I guess I don't remember which one. At least one of them is to sense when you pull on the door. Right? It senses when you pull on the door, and it sends a signal down to the lock actuator, to the latch, and opens the latch. So I'd imagine of those several switches that are in there, they would all probably cause a different symptom. But this one's good. So I'll button this one up. The other thing I thought I should mention is try to line up those that front window thing pops right down in that pin, but try to line up the nut on the stud for this window as close as you can, so that way you don't end up with a wind noise and requiring a lot of adjustment. And so those are some of the things I gotta check out on this one. I got the door panel popped in, but I didn't put it all the way on in case I gotta do an adjustment. Yeah, that looks good. Right up in there, right in the pocket. Although I may be a little concerned about that. Let me compare. No, I guess they're pretty wide open like that. Well, okay. So yeah, just gonna, and I'll probably do a little drive on this one and make sure I like how it sounds. And should be good though. The door handle is working great. All right, last video. So I took a closer look and I realized, you know what, this window wasn't really sitting up against that weather stripping. So I popped it back off and I loosened the nut right here for the glass, slid it forward, held it forward, tightened the nut. So learn from my mistake right there too. Now you can see it's bumped right up, so we won't get a wind noise. I didn't road test it. I know it was going to make a wind noise because I looked a little closer and I realized there was a gap there. It might have even been a water leak, so watch that adjustment. And that's the end.